We're going to talk about how to do more sophisticated commands, methods, things that we want to use over and over as we use the Linux operating system. So just like in Python, you can write hello world in the command line for Python if you want to, but you're going to want to make more sophisticated things at some point. So that's what we're going to talk about right now, which is how to make more sophisticated things that do multiple commands in Bash so that you don't have to keep typing them out over and over. So the first thing that I want to do is install something that can open up files in our native emulator, in our native editor, sorry. So if I run npm install-gc9, this should work. Sweet. And now I should be able to open up files. Now the file that we're going to open is in our root directory. So if I do a pwd, you should see ec2 user or something like that. And then you should see something called the bashrc. So if you type c9.bashrc, so this is a hidden file like we mentioned before. If you open this up in C9, it'll open up this file. It looks something like this. This is super crazy, right? Like there is a lot of stuff here that I don't know what it means. Like RVM silence path mismatch check flag. No idea what this is. There's a lot of things that I don't know because I'm not that familiar with Bash syntax. So one thing that I want to say right now is don't modify any of that stuff. Let's scroll all the way down to line 53 or wherever you are at, the end of your line, end of your file. And what we're going to do is start making some of our own commands. So for example here, we can make something called an alias. So for example, let's do an alias L. So if we want to do L in order to say ls, all we have to do is say alias L equals ls. And then we save this. And this is a very important step. We have to go into our command. Command line, and we have to run source bashrc. If we don't do this, the changes to our bashrc are just not going to be picked up. So now if we run L, it's going to do our ls command. So that's what an alias is. All an alias does is it runs a command. It's basically a different name for an existing command. So we can do a lot of stuff like this. So we can do alias, I don't know, if we want to do m for, or if we want to do, I don't know, make for make directory, then that's all we have to do. But keep in mind again that if we do mk here, it's not going to work. So you can do a source bashrc here, and then it should work. But the other option to do, if you forgot what to run, is just close the bash shell completely. And then let's open up a new one. And now make should do something. So make new dir. And that should work. We've made a new directory called make dir. One thing I forgot to cover in the last lecture in the last demo was removing files. So if you make a file, you can also remove it by doing rm. If you want to remove a directory, this isn't going to work. It's going to say it's a directory. So you have to do rm-r. So -r means recursively. It means delete the folder and delete everything inside of it. And now it's going to delete out that directory. So we did a new alias, and that works totally fine. But what if we want to combine several things? Now we're going to try to make a function here. So let's think of a function called makeCD. So this is really cool because I actually have this in my own bashrc. And this makeCD command is going to make a directory and then immediately put you inside of it. So this is something that I don't know why Bash doesn't do for you automatically, but I wrote my own command to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to run a make dir, and then you're going to cd. But make dir takes in an argument, right? And so does cd. So what we're going to do is pass in the first argument that this function takes in. So you're going to specify that with $1. And then you're going to do the same thing here. So now if we source this again, now we can do a make cd of test. And this is going to make a test directory, and then it's going to put us in here. As you can see, we're inside the test directory. If you do a pwd, you'll see that again. Cool. One other thing in terms of aliasing that I always like is just have something to source your things for you. So I just do something like this, an alias sb to source your bashrc. And then that way, now when you do this, it should source much more easily. Oh, give me one more second. I have to log back in. This has been happening to me. If it happens to you, don't worry too much about this. I think it's just being overly aggressive on what counts as activity, but it's not something that you have to worry too much about. So I'm going to log back in, and then hopefully that will just pick right up from there. All right, so now I'm back in the Cloud9 IDE, and we've made our function make cd. So if we go here and then we do make cd test2, it's going to make it, and then it's going to put us inside of it. So I'm going to cd up here, and then I'm going to do an rm -r, and this is a quick little command you can do. If you want to delete every directory that starts with test, you can do star as a wildcard, and it should match this one and this one, and they're both gone. Great. So one thing that I'm kind of sick of now is doing this cd ... over and over. So if we're up in, let's say we're in lect 3, and then let's say that we have another directory called demo in here. If we want to get back all the way up 3 levels, then we have to do cd ... That's a lot of writing. So let's write a command called up. So function up, and all this is going to do is up n should go up n directories from the current directory. So basically, if we do up 3 from this level, we should go all the way back to our root directory. So obviously, we're going to want to do a for loop in here. So the way you do bash syntax here, and I had to look this up because I'm not super familiar with bash syntax, but what you want to do, the syntax for this is something like this. So for I in the sequence starting in 1 and going to our first argument, so $1 means our first argument, you do cd ... and then that's it. And then you say you're done, because you conclude the loop. So this semicolon happens after a for loop. This is just something that you have in bash, and that's just something you have to do. So again, we have this alias source bashrc, and that should work. And now we should be able to use our up command. Great. So that is what our bashrc looks like. So we can use bashrc to organize these different functions, these different aliases, etc. And the other thing about bashrc that's really, really interesting is you have this concept of magic variables. So these magic variables are basically these things where you can go through, and these variables exist anywhere you are. So a variable in bash, you can access it in the command line by putting a $, in front of it. So we're exporting all these different variables here. Anytime you say export, it means set a value equal to a variable. So if we do echo $path, this is like a giant variable that lists a bunch of really important directories. If we do an echo nvm directory, I don't even know what this is, but it tells you what this is. There's a couple more. Let's look at user here. So let's try user. And that is going to say EC2 user.